So teaching is not a difficult, not an easy job. It is a difficult job. And those who want easy life, please don't come to teaching. That is the wrong place. If you come for easy life, I don't know many other jobs where not teachers. That's the wrong place. I think it's quite a strong message. I don't want to give more strong messages. Shweta. One of the things that is missing is really good research at the education system level. Every diet at the district level is supposed to come out with their own research papers. That very few research happens.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the 360 View from Policy to Practice podcast. I am Shweta Chooramani, your host. I'm based out of New Jersey, United States. And today we have a guest with us from Mumbai. His name is Antony Nellissery. Antony is head of Sterlite EdIndia Foundation and vice president CSR Sterlite Power. Welcome, Antony.
Thank you, Shweta, for calling me for this.
We are so blessed to have Anthony in our show today, and he is a person who has been in this sector for very many years, and he's considered veteran. It's very common to see him speak on so many conferences, webinars, and seminars. And I know him when he was a dynamic area director at Site Savers Bhopal 2 decades ago. So I will invite him to first share about his own journey, what has happened after that.
Thank you once again, Shweta. Yes, my journey has been quite interesting, and I am really grateful to God for the good experiences that I have had in the last 27, 28 years. So, I started my career as a teacher in the Northeastern part of India. So, education has been my interest from the beginning, the day one, so to say, when I started my career. After about 3 to 4 years, 5 years of teaching the students in the Northeast, I realized uh, there's a possibility that when we start focusing on teacher education, it will be greater impact because through the teachers we'll be able to reach much more number of students. So it is from that decision I started getting into various policy level work with various state governments. In fact, after my project post graduation, I joined government of Madhya Pradesh in their Sarva Shiksha Abhiyan, which is Education for All mission. Then I had a brief stint with UNICEF as a consultant for implementing their quality package. Then, of course, along with you with Sightsavers establishing North India area office. After that, I joined Bharati Foundation. I also worked with Save the Children for about 3 years, implementing the Technical Cooperation Fund for the Government of India, which is bringing school leadership and teaching learning standards to the country more focused in the public education system. And now I am with Sterlite at India Foundation. It's a very good foundation focusing on a very niche work, I would say. There are many organizations, many foundations working in the area of education. There's very, very few agency. I would say we were the first agency to start working with the pre-service education with a specific focus in B.Ed colleges as well. There are one or two agencies working with the DIETS, which is the District Institution for Education Training of the government institution at the district level, where there are pre-service students. There were one or two agencies working in that field, but at this time, it's not in my knowledge. Also, that there are not any agencies, as per my knowledge, working for the B.Ed colleges, because I'm personally convinced.
Thank you, Anthony, for this extensive introduction and especially telling us about how Sterlite Ed India Foundation is invested in teachers' education. I must say that the issue is very niche and it's a very difficult problem to solve. People often resort to donating computers and thinking it as like, okay, we have done our bit, and not doing like the hard thing. So, thank you for choosing a hard problem to solve. So, to start off with, let's talk about what do you think are the challenges for teachers in teaching STEM subjects in school? Because the problem you have identified has a direct connotation, correlation with this.
So before I come to the point of what teachers find difficult, I'd like to give a kind of a focus on what is the major challenge that is being faced by the system in itself. there is lack of resources. There's a lot of focus on technology in education. There's a lot of focus on STEM in the last few years in a special way. National Education Policy 2020 has only pushed this particular agenda, and also the importance of focusing education, quality education, and also STEM education in the country. You will also remember there is the focus on Atal Tinkering Labs, which has been started by the government of India. So there are a lot of initiatives that has been taken by the government, but still there is lack of resources and infra in the school, because STEM education requires a lot of other infrastructure requirement, resources requirement, technology, digital requirements. If you want to go into the technology way, the second challenge that is faced in the system is teacher training and skill gaps itself. One of the recent report which I have read, it talks about a sample study where even mathematic teachers, certain percentage, I don't want to name the percentage, it's quite alarming. Certain percentage of the mathematic teachers are not even comfortable with the mathematic concepts. So there is a skill gap in terms of knowledge and application, and teacher training education itself. It's already started reforming. A lot of work has happened, but it will not be enough if you have to really look at the geographical dividend that we are talking about with the most amount of youngsters in the working group. We need to focus on the teacher training much more focused. Then the third, of course, socio-economic barriers are there, especially the access to all these new things in the remote areas. So the rural education has to be also focused in terms of giving sufficient resources and infra as such. And our young generation will enter into professions that are yet to be invented by 2030. So, as per one of the report, more than 85% of the jobs by 2030 will be new. So, how do we prepare those teachers? So, the challenges that we are facing is multifaceted. There is lack of resources, and we also need to be looking future. We cannot afford to continue teacher training, continue school education the way we have been taught, at our school level. So, we need to focus on the skills and the teacher training. The question that you are talking about, we need to really focus on managing skills rather than just transferring knowledge. How do we develop skills at the school level? In fact, the book which I shared with you last time, the Skill Edge, is the whole focus is on how do we approach the school education from a skills approach. And when I'm focusing in the book, it's mainly more on the life skills, the soft skill that we talk about: critical thinking, decision making, problem solving, interpersonal skills, collaboration, all these skills which are very much required, and these are the skills based on which the employability skills are also talked about.
Thanks, Anthony. So basically, if I may summarize it again, it's basically for four main areas. One is your paucity of infrastructure. Adult tinkering labs are there, but are they enough? Are they doing enough what they're supposed to do? Second is there are skills gap, like the what is being taught in the schools now, and will it be relevant in the future, or are they do they really possess those competencies? The third is the socio-economic barrier that you told us about, and whether the skills that are being taught today will be relevant in the future, like the green economy is coming, the blue
Yeah.
economy is coming. Are they relevant? And the most important thing, like the way you summarized, is it's the time to develop skills and not just knowledge transfer. So I think these four things were basically summarize what are the main challenges. So what do you think, based on your experience of working with so many reputed organizations, both at the policy level, operation level, and at the ground level, where are the solutions to solve these problems?
The solution, just like the problems are multifaceted, solutions are also multifaceted. Government has started is doing their bit, but we need to, as a civil society organization, we need to also support various innovations, various pilots which can be scaled up. There are various organizations working in the area of education. If you look at over so many years, even after independence, we are still struggling with the foundation literacy numeracy, the basic literacy numeracy skills. There are so many agencies working, so many government are doing various innovative ways, but somehow many of the things are not consistently being done. It is not, many of these innovations and many of the good practices, if I can call it, are not being institutionalized. It gets changed as per the people getting changed. So many of the innovations, many of the activity that are being done in the particular system now is more of person dependent. As soon as the person transfers, even though some of the policies, some of the more the policy, the more the guidelines, more the initiatives get stopped. And many of the things are added on to the previous activity without actually reviewing what exactly is the problem. Where have we reached? So many of us are in a, as on a lighter note, many people say all of us Indians are very much in a hurry, but we are never on time. We find difficult to reach on time. So similarly, as soon as new policies come, new initiatives come, all of us are interested to say that yeah, we have achieved. But in the process, it never gets institutionalized. It doesn't get that whole initiative and the whole process, and as a result, the outcome of this process doesn't get institutionalized. And I think from a system point of view, there should be a kind of cadre that we need to look at education system. Now there is a foreign service system is there. There is a revenue, system is there. Similarly, there should be a Indian, officers for Indian education system, because we need people who are completely dedicated to improving the education system. We cannot have people at the helm for 3 years, 2 years, 1 year, 6 months. There are many states government I know, SCRT, State Council for Education Research and Training, which is a state body uh, supposed to be looking at all academic needs of the state. SCRT directors are changed so frequently. Not necessarily they are also coming with that experience. Many, even the assistant directors, towards the retirement, people come to SCRT. So the a strong body which has been designed to make the academic impact at the state level, not given sufficient human resources for a longer time. And another body that is available at the district level is DIET, District Institution for Education Training. There is no cadre that is there currently. There are many government thinking in this line. It's a good, good initiative, I would say, if this cadre is established. So there should be a good resource group, both at the state level, at the district level, to continuously upskill the teachers. The education methodology, education landscape is changing constantly and faster these days. Technology has accelerated many methodologies. COVID has given virtual education or online education a completely a different spin, which I don't think many of us really thought that could have happened. I think one of the positive things COVID has contributed is online education system. A lot of dependence on technology, or rather, a lot of positive that can happen through the technology in education. We have been talking about EdTech some 10, 15 years back, but I think real acceleration has taken place in the last few years. So I think systemically we need to really focus on how do we develop, uh, first of all, a kind of a cadre, both at the state level and at the district level, who can consistently and continuously upskill the data. We talk about supportive supervision. After the training, after this capacity development initiative, how is the supportive supervision taking place to ensure there is a kind of implementation at the school level? Because finally, all the students are enrolled in the school. So if the students are not getting the best of education, how are we getting the students out of the school? If I can just put one statistics in one of the global distribution of STEM graduates, has given this particular data. I think approximately 34% of all graduates in India come from STEM fields, engineers, BSc and all this type of thing. But it looks very high. If you look at Malaysia, it is 43.5%. Even a small country like Tunisia, it is 37.9%. Even if we say 34% is very high, it is not sufficiently high, because the graduates who are coming out, another skill study report, you will find 1 out of 10 graduates are employable. Even if you're looking at MBAs and engineers, just hardly 50-60% are employable. So there is again the quality of education even at the higher education level matters. And The teacher education partly as a pre-service teacher education, it is in the higher education. How many teachers are really opting for STEM teaching as science or mathematics subject? So if we don't get enough teachers at that teacher education level, it's a vicious circle we are going to get created. So we need to have a kind of national database to find out how many teachers are teacher vacancy. You might have read in the report that over 8 lakh teacher vacancies in the country. We need to find out which subject teacher vacancies and develop and support the number of teachers from the teacher education in the country accordingly. Currently, I don't think we have a database for it. We have a database to say how many teachers are teacher vacancies there, but from a subject point of view, accordingly, we need to push a number of vacancy at the B.Ed or the college level so that the teachers can be pulled in. At this time, there is a kind of black blanket number of seats being approved, 50 per batch, 100 per batch, but not necessarily we are getting those teachers who are required for the education system. So the both at the systemic level and at the now if I look at micro level, whoever the resource persons are there, we need to make sure their own upskill has to happen. As a resource person, they need to continuously upskill so that when they go as a teacher educators, they can also get. So there are a lot of other solutions that can go on, but I think I will stop it at that.
So basically, you have talked about very systemic issues, starting with like how do you institutionalize the best practices? What is the design of the state level and the district level education system? And how do we create a special cadre among the administrative services who carry this institutional knowledge and are 100% dedicated? How do we move from knowledge transfer to skill transfer and then measure the quality based on are they how many of those graduates are employable? Very important. This is a beautiful explanation of both at systemic level and at operational level, especially about what you mentioned about almost 500,000 teachers are absent in schools. Like there are so much of vacancies that published in the UNESCO no school, no teacher, no school report. I would like you to throw some more solutions based on the best practices that you have seen on the ground. It may be from different organizations.
uh, the best practices on in terms of how do you manage teacher vacancy or teacher education in general on
In
which
teacher
what we are.
education in general and both, even the teacher vacancies is a big problem. Or any from Sterlite Ed India Foundation, what are the special things that you are doing?
So there are two three things that we are before getting into what can be done at the school level. I'd like to throw some light on what we are doing in Sterlite and India Foundation. We are having again two-pronged strategy. The first is teacher education as a focus, wherein we are looking at two areas again. First part is where we are focusing on the pre-service part of it, where it is student. We are working with the students and faculties of B.Ed colleges, DLED colleges, and we are working with many diets of the state government in a few states in India. The second part is we also work with the state bodies like SCRT and the DIET to help this resource person to develop themselves so that they, when they go and train and develop and empower those teachers in the system, it can be done. So we are helping the education system both from the point of pre-service and also from the point of in-service. The second no, flagship program is with the administrators. We are working with the administrators in data analytics program. And what do we do there? We are not collecting a data from the field. Whatever the data that has been collected by the government, we are trying to analyze, give it in a very analytical visual means so that they are able to take informed decisions, data-driven decisions. And there are various examples that has happened in the recent past. Uh, in fact, in Mumbai, where I'm sitting currently, uh, one of the municipal corporation, the ward, approached us. How do we uh, help to improve the scholarship, student scholarship that is received? So there are a few sets of schools that are there, about I think 34 schools in that ward. And before we started the program, they were just getting just three student scholarship. And we just looked at the data, their performance, analyzed and shared the information analysis as a feedback to the teachers and the system. Within that year, it moved from 3 to 33. And the second year, 33 to 70. This is the, no, it's the next year. We are hoping that it will cross 100. And we are talking about a group of 33, 34 schools. And similar thing we are trying to do with the state of Chhattisgarh. We have helped the state government to capture all the the mock tests that they've been doing before the Parak assessment, which has happened in the country. We are waiting for the results. So it's over 50,000 schools that we have covered. I think over 9 lakh students data that come. How do we help the state government to see which are the areas the students are lacking at scale? So that can be incorporated into the teacher training, because most of the teacher training, unfortunately, in many places, it's routine, mechanized, and repetitive, and not necessarily targeting the actual issues and solving the problems. The moment we come out with this data saying that because it is all technology driven, you are able to go into micro level, which as a state, what are the issues, as a district, what are the issues, as a block, what are the issues, as a cluster of schools, what are the issues, what are the problems at this grade level, everything can be dissected. So we are in the process of submitting the report, and already some shared information has been shared, and the government also has made a specific plan based on that analysis, what can be done. And towards the end of the year, maybe in few months, there will be another end-term analysis type of thing. So we are able to see this difference. So we have solutions that can be done at scale. Coming back to the teacher education, we also have both online and on-site activities. The idea behind is many of the B.Ed colleges, I'm sure you're aware of it, not 100% of students come into the college wanting to become teachers. Unfortunately, in many of the states, teaching as a profession is not an aspirational profession. And that's one of the goals that which we are working, how to make teaching as an aspirational profession. At least those who have already enrolled in B.Ed college, can we make it aspirational at least for them? So some of the B.Ed colleges that I visited, I found anywhere between 10 to 20 percentage are the percentage of students who really wanted to come to the school education. So there's a large chunk of B.Ed college students who can be converted, if I can say the word, converted into teaching professions. And after the B.Ed college, when they pass, there is a test that need to be, teacher eligibility test they have to pass to be qualified to become a teacher in India. Some of the state governments, even after that, there is a kind of an entrance test. I think they need to remove this duplication. When there is a center teacher eligibility test for which teachers have to sit, state teacher eligibility test then needs to be happen, and why there is another entrance test. So I think we need to streamline some of the processes, but make it more and more qualitative, so that we can say, like say our UPSC exam, those who come out of that exam, they are class apart. Can we bring in that seriousness to the teacher eligibility test, so that those who come out of that, you can say, ha, they are good teachers with knowledge and skills, and they are able to uh, empower the students in the school where they are studying for this particular skill development that we are talking about, whether the STEM skills, which I would put it. In fact, no, the point that we've been talking, the problem of STEM. Yes, STEM subjects are important, but I'll be more happy with the STEM skills that needs to be transferred. Whichever the subjects, I think the STEM skills needs to be transferred. No, the students need to learn to ask questions. They need to think creatively, solve problems, explore, take calculated risks, test solutions to problems, discover new ways of doing things. If you have to focus on these skills, I'm sure by 2030, when we are talking about quite many number of jobs are not going to be available, new number of jobs are going to be there. So our students, our children who are there in the school at this time, they'll be prepared to take up any type of jobs that comes their way, because their skill set would have been no much different, especially with this coding program that is going on. Not necessarily they need to have science background to get into this coding culture. So a lot of programs are, a lot of jobs are started coming in, not necessarily focusing on STEM subjects, but they are focusing on STEM skills. So, as a solution, I would say we need to focus on how to focus on the skill development at the school level. And earlier I quoted that after graduation or post graduation, the students who are coming out are not employable, partly because they have not got the basics of life skills at the school level. What they need to learn at the school level had not been learned. There is an accumulation of learning loss that has happened, or accumulation of learning the skill set that is required. So the solution again is a multifaceted. We have to focus on creating a good teacher resource group. We have to also support the administrators. They need to look at the data. They need to see where are the issues and solve the problem accordingly. Not necessarily it has to be taken on guts. So in the country, there is a lot of push for the digital in the last 10 years, and because of which many of the state governments have gone into technology-driven, I would say education in planning, monitoring, and in evaluating. So I think that needs to be strengthened more and more help need to be given to get the analysis proper so that they're able to take the right decisions. So these are the two big areas I would say from Sterlite point of view. Also, we are trying out, and these are the few things which I've been trying out as a pilot in various other organizations. And the skill development can happen at scale. Many of the many of the people have a skeptical, I would say, uh, experience when I say, "Can we have a skill development at scale?" It all depends how you integrate life skill at the school level. Some of the state government, I'm aware, I'm not what it named the state government, they have started having a separate curriculum for life skills. They have started having separate classes for life skills. What will you do with all those? No, I think approximately we have 48 periods in a week for each in a school. Lower classes will be less. So from class 5 onwards, if I can talk about it. There is English to be taught, mathematics to be taught, science to be taught, Hindi languages to be taught. How are they going to make another subject coming in? And we tried out in one of the states in my earlier project, especially in Jammu. How do we use the same activities which are happening in the school, starting with morning assembly, classrooms, breaks, games, various events and competition? How do we use all of them to develop the skill? If I can give an example, morning assembly. There are so many skills can be developed through morning assembly. But unfortunately, in the school, there are teachers' pet, yeah, headmasters' pet. Only they come to the morning assembly in the stadium, in the podium. As such. So how do we use that as a mechanism to develop the skills of all the students, giving opportunity? Similarly, in the classroom, how do we use language as a subject to improve linguistic skills? English has been taught, Hindi has been taught, all the languages have been taught in our schools for the so many years. Why we have no basic literacy, reading and writing? Because subjects are being taught, completing the syllabus, but the learning is not happening. So I used to tell all the teachers who are teaching language, please stop teaching your language. Then, of course, automatic question would be, okay, what should we teach then? If you have to stop teaching, then our DO will kill us, BO will kill us. We have to answer to them. So then my next answer would be, yes, teach also subject, use it as a skill development. Make sure when you're teaching Hindi, the students are able to speak, read, and write well at the end of that particular class. Because languages are really the foundation of all the other subjects. If you have to, do other subjects well, if your languages is not good, you are not able to perform in that subject as well. So languages have to be taught very well, and they need to be able to really read and write and speak. So why that is not happening in those lower classes like class 1 and 2? So one this now the whole subjects turned into a skill form rather than saying, have you by hearted this poem? Have you, by hearted this paragraph? Which is not very important at this time. I don't think, Shweta, you remember how do you prove Pythagoras theorem, which all of us have learned. I don't think many people will be able to recollect that, except maybe some mathematics teacher, which I'm not very sure, unless and until they are really teaching. They also won't forget. Just because I've studied mathematics doesn't mean that I remember Pythagoras theorem, how it is to be proved. So I think the focus should on each subject. And whenever we talk about problem solving or critical thinking, always people think of mathematics and science. Even history, social science are equally important for problem solving. In fact, I would say history is that particular subject which can have all kind of skills that you can think of. All the skills that we have talked about can be easily taught through history. In fact, even more skills, sequencing. The type of debate we used to have in our history classes. It's a completely different ball game. I'm not very sure at this time at the school level all these things are happening. The role play we used to do. So the how do we,
Actually,
so
yeah, right.
and I'm sure even at the school level, whether it is at history or even in English or in language classes, Hindi or whichever the language that we have been taught, the amount of role play and the other opportunities for communication skill to be developed or public communication to be developed, I'm not very sure all the students are getting at the school level at this time. So once we focus on the skills level, I think half of our problem is over. And for this, we need to prepare teachers, both in service and pre service, much better so that their focus is not completing the syllabus, but completing the learning process of the students. And that's also we are focusing on in our Sterlite and India Foundation. We are doing a lot of on-site activities, the workshops for the students at the college level, so that it becomes a kind of a practice for them, demo for them how things can be transferred while when they go for teaching. We also have a online app called the Teachable app, where we have given a lot of courses, resources which can be used in a self-learning mode, and also the resources that can be used during their internship program. We also have some events and competitions that keep them engaging, so that in the form of competition they also improve their skills. We also give them a practice test for teacher eligibility test, and based on their performance we also give them an analysis which are the area that you can improve, for which also the resources are available. And that's we are doing our bit to see how we can transform the pre-service education in the country.
Thank you, Anthony. That's a very extensive answer, and it actually touches upon both the demand and the supply side of the whole
Yeah,
teacher training continuum. It is not just what they are teaching in the school; it is also what they are learning in the education system itself, in the training institutions, and I also like the fact about what you touched upon, the administrators. It
yeah,
is not just about like having that transaction of knowledge. It is also about how you are making use of data to take data driven decisions.
yeah.
Very good. So I have a question which I think you have partly answered already, but I'll still go ahead and ask. Maybe you have some new insights to share with us. What do you want to see changed in the Indian education system when it comes to teachers training, and if anything, in the design or implementation of national education policy? Because usually the feedback that we get from guests is that the national education policy is designed very well. It is the implementation where there is lacuna. But I'll still go ahead and ask you, is it the design or the implementation, and what would you like to change in Indian education system?
I think I partly or rather completely agree with whoever has told you. Yes, we don't have a dearth of policy, it's in the implementation. But I would say NEP 2020 could have also inserted Indian Education Service, IES, as a kind of a cadre, because it is the education system that can transform the country. Of course, we can have, there are so many examples that are there who have dropped out and made well, but they are only anecdotes. 50 percentage of the children who have dropped out are not doing anything. So giving an example that okay, I'm a dropout, then even then I am the business magnet, that doesn't hold good as far as I'm concerned. So having said that, if kind of Indian education service can be brought in, could have been done as a policy, I think NEP 2020, I would say as a policy would have been perfect, because it has got all the ingredients and elements to it. Just like many others would have discussed in the various forum, we we lack implementation. The way to implement is where we make mistakes. Most of us are in a hurry to get things done, to say that we have done it. In the process, we break a lot of things, and we are not able to sustain any of the activity. If I can tell one example of implementation, the policy is good. There is a there is a 4-year integrated teacher education program that has been recommended. So, of course, all the education graduation is going to be 4 years. By 2030, all the teacher education program also need to carry 4-year program. Many universities, many colleges have already started this 4-year program. Now, as a policy, is it good? Yes. After 12, just like they decide whether I need to become a doctor or engineer and go accordingly to the stream, as a 12th pass out, I also need to decide whether I need to get to be a teacher. Fair enough. Now, many of the colleges are running this 4-year program and a 2-year B.Ed program parallelly, because as a policy, you can have a 4-year program, 2-year program, 1-year program. Now, some of the colleges, this 4-year program supposed to be, balanced out. As a curriculum, it is already there. But how is the implementation done? They focus on the graduation, that particular subject part. Suppose if you are doing BA, B.Ed, BSc, B.Ed, BCom, B.Ed, that content part of the subject is taken in the first 2 years. The third and fourth year is more focused, along with that 2-year B.Ed, which is supposed to be a separate program. So in the process, what has happened? That the benefit that we should have got by that 4-year, we are not getting it. Now, today only read a post from someone. We have prepared so many students in various content. With 1 year of B.Ed course, you're expecting a transformative teacher coming out. So we need to get our acts right. I think the uh, adherence to the policy in spirit has to be looked out in the next 2 3 years, so that by the time we talk about the target of 2030, all the colleges that they have done undertaken this 4-year program, it is in spirit. Second, I'm not belittling other graduations, but I would say this ITP, Integrated Teacher Education Program, which is a 4-year program or a B.Ed college, that needs to be tightened much higher, because these are the people who are going into the school and teaching all the students, irrespective of whether they are going to become doctors, engineers, CA, IS officers. Because we need to have the teachers very solid here. So how do we get in this particular, uh, in this particular stream of graduation, if I can call it, uh, a group of people who are really committed to teaching, have the basic knowledge. I've seen one of the colleges, not necessarily they need 50 percentage in their previous certificate. So imagine a teacher or a set of teachers who are just past 45 50 percentage going and becoming a teachers. So their knowledge gap will be there. Not only the skill gap, also the knowledge gap. So I think in the implementation, we need to take the policy decision. So that way, this policy needs to be strengthened in terms of the practical aspect of it, so that we are able to tighten. In many of the developed countries, top 10 percentile students only can apply for becoming a teacher. They don't become teachers just because they have gone for their enrolled in that particular institute doesn't mean that they're going to be teachers. Even to apply, so it all depends on how the country is looking at teachers as a profession, teachers as a group. That is important, because it is the education that can transform the economy. It is the education that can bring geographical dividend to our young group of young adults and children who are going to be coming into the workforce.
Thank you, Anthony. That's quite insightful. And I think what I've kept hearing is that all depends on very the quality of teaching that is happening in it. It is less about the duration, but more about the quality, and also about restoring respect and making the teachers profession as aspirational profession. I think
Very true.
that is require a behavior change and a lot of intentional efforts and Okay. And I think you have already answered this question. You are one step ahead of me. Like what are some actionable steps that policymakers, educators, and institutions can take to improve teacher training? I think you have thrown a lot of strong arguments about making the systemic change. How do we institutionalize the process? How is there is a need to overall uh, design thinking of, and by keeping the teacher at the center of it. But still, what are some actionable steps which are very doable in, let's say, 2 years or 3 years, or at our level, which we can do?
So I think it cannot be just one or two steps. It has to be multiple steps at multiple level. One of the things that is missing is really good research at the education system level. Every diet at the district level is supposed to come out with their own research papers. That very few research happens. They're supposed to encourage action research. I don't think there are too many diets. Even if diets are doing, all the faculty will not be there, because most of the time what happens is the faculty is continuously moving around. So there are few teachers who are on deputation. Senior people come in who have some years of experience. After 3 5 years, they go back, and fresh batch comes in. So it's very difficult to monitor what happens in each of the diets, which is supposed to be, I would say, fulcrum of academic support in a district. So just like any businesses you look, why some of the businesses are thriving faster than the others? Because their R&D wing is very strong. R&D department is very strong. But in education system, yes, there are a lot of researches happening, but it is more from the publication of thesis or publication of PhDs and other things. Or it has to be written as per the system. Papers have to be submitted. So some research, some data, they put the thing, and the focus is more on how do you analyze the thing and present it, rather than really getting into the qualitative aspect of it. So I think the research focus has to come in at all levels. There may be somebody at the SCRT level, State Council of Education Research training level, undertaking few researches. But can we insist all the state governments undertake real qualitative research and little scale? Because sometimes the moment we say qualitative research, it will be done in two schools, three schools. Let the state decide these are some of the major issues that the state is facing. Let us have this qualitative research, and all the diets in the district, in the state, focus on this, so that we get a no even scale even for that qualitative. So there should be a no, there should be a kind of I would say real conversation happening, real conversation happening between the state body and district body who are undertaking this research, supposed to be taking research, I would say. The second, I would say, the training part of it. The training part needs to be highly strengthened, and it is very easy. It's not a difficult task. Find out what are the issues, what are the problems faced. Give the training to tackle the problem. Many places, in fact, one of the states I visited recently, it's a quite. In fact, we were going there to develop again the faculty again for training, but we were not going with the topic saying that FLN or leadership or something. Whatever you are doing, how do you do it improve? How do you do better? That's the whole focus of the training and the program. So one of the diet faculty told us, "Sir, are you also coming for the FLN training?" Then I asked, "Why do you ask that?" No, no, there was another foundation came for FLN training. Another foundation came for FLN training. So we are trying to use multiple modules, multiple books, and finally all those things are kept, and we are doing whatever we want. So there is a duplicity of training happening. So somebody has to look at the state level. It's not happening in all the states, definitely, but in some of the states there is some duplicity of training programs happening on the same topic, because there is a big push as a pan India, from a government point of view. We need to get and we need to achieve basic foundational literacy by this. Of course, COVID has done some havoc, because of which we are having problem on this basic FLN. But at the same time, even before COVID, we had a problem of FLN. It's not. It is only aggravated. So many state governments have been pushed. to make sure it is performed. A lot of things have become performance linked. As a result, FLN training. So training in itself is not a solution. It has to be tied up with how it is being practiced. Most of the time, training is a one-day training. Okay, FLN. Oh, let's do a 5-day training. What are you going to do in 5 days? Okay, that will make the module. So why did you decide it has to be 5-day training? So there should be a logic to the training. Secondly, okay, you have done a training on FLN, let's say, because that is the hot topic of the days, many places. SEL is still not caught up. It will catch up in another 2 years. You will forget about FLN and we will hear only about SEL, social emotional learning, very soon. It has gone many places. So after this training is done on, say, for FLN, how are the teachers performing in the classroom? Are they able to transact all what? So when there is a cluster coordinators, block resource coordinator going to the schools, district education, official teams who are going to the school to visit to see how this training is being transacted. Are the students picking up? Many of the school visit become administrative visit, not necessarily it's an academic visit. So we have to turn many of this administrative visit to academic visit. Many of the administration can be done online. A lot of data collection can be done, use technology to do online. Many state governments have started going in it. But we need to relook at and see. In fact, where I was in one of the states, I think in state of Uttarakhand, because it's a very positive, so I can always say about it. They have become paperless in the state. All the things are technology based. I'm sure the same things are happening, efforts are happening at the state as well. I'm mentioning the state because I have seen it with my own eyes. I have seen this same state few years back with so much files and papers in front of the respective officials. So I can see the drastic change that has happened. And many of the states I have visited also, we can see that technology is being used. But we can use this technology even to get many of the other administrative hassles, to make it easier. And a third, I think this has been a big ask for the teachers and teaching community, or I would say education department in general. Please use teachers for teaching, not for survey of census. There are so many people in the ward. There are so many people in the panchayat. They need to be used for this. Block development officers, so many are there. Why teachers for everything? Of course, as someone lightly said, they are the only one who know how to read and write in the rural area. I mean, now I'm sure things have changed. The literacy rate has gone up. It has gone, much higher than it was earlier. There may be very few people who don't know how to read and write these days at the village level. Things have completely changed in so many years. So I think teachers needs to be out of those so-called, if I can say, non-school based work. They need to be out of the system because as a school education, they need to be there for 220, I think 220 working days. If you remove all the holidays and summer holidays and all those. And this 220 days consists of even exam days. So the actual teaching days is not 1 year for a class. It's not 1 year. What we talk about, 365 days we have. And if there is something called these days that happens, climate impact holidays. There is a severe winter, declare holiday. If there is a severe summer, declare holiday. There is a flood, declare holiday. So there is a problem of lack of time that is devoted in the school because of all this reason. Over and above this, imagine if teachers are taken out for other duties. So the school doesn't get what they need to get, even the teachers. And the problems gets aggravated when the teacher vacancy increases. So that would be my next solution. Please fill up the vacancies. And there are various, I think almost 1 lakh schools in the country, 100,000 schools in the country, single teacher school. How much a teacher can manage? A teacher cannot get sick. If she gets sick or he gets sick, what happens to those children who are there? So there should not be any single teacher schools. If we have to invest much more into the education system in terms of infra, I think many of the schools have started developing itself, but now we need to increase the human resources, then the quality of the resources through training, And the pre-service teacher education, especially in the last 2 3 years, good thing has happened. It is also written in NAP 2020 policy, so I can, no, I can say it publicly. It's written very clearly. Out of I think 16,000 or 17,000 colleges in the country, 10,000 colleges are only selling certificate for B.Ed. So imagine who are coming out of it. And I assume that, I feel one of the reason our teacher eligibility test result is very low, 5%, 10%, 15% pass, is because large chunk of students are coming out of the colleges who does not know what they need to write in the exam. What we call as a teacher eligibility test. After B.Ed and all those colleges they have passed, they have to write the test. And fortunately, government have closed 4,000 college of that. It's already shut down. I think another 4,000 is in the process. I think they have been given time. If they don't improve, I think even that will go. So it's a good step to tighten the quality of the teacher education. We need to make sure the teachers who are coming out need to be, say, yeah, teachers. They are teachers, they can teach. We don't need to have so many exams after that. Why do we need to have? Because B.Ed B.Ed annual exam is a failure, we created teacher eligibility test. Now, is that also question mark? Why there is an entrance test? Why? Because of before this teacher eligibility test, as a process, there is an entrance test. So this also has to be done. That also has to be done. So we are duplicating a lot of services. But have one service properly, make sure it is qualitatively, all loopholes are tied down so that we are able to get best teachers coming into the system. And the last one, I would always say, uh, monitoring needs to be done in the right spirit. Many places monitoring is for finding out mistakes, but monitoring has to be also from the point of being a support to the education system down there at the school level. If I am at the block level education official or district level or state level or national board, why am I not being questioned for lack of performance at the school level? Why only teachers are being questioned because of FLN's level? Because I'm supposed to support. Am I supporting enough? I think that's a kind of a systemic question that need to be asked. And though I said previous one as the last one, I think I have one more point as I'm talking to you. That is, the database needs to be much more focused. As I was saying in the earlier discussion with you today, uh, we don't have enough data on the teachers. What is the teacher vacancies subject wise? What are the type of students who are coming into the system? What are their subject specification? Based on limited experience of going to few colleges, uh, I don't find more than 15 to 20 percentage in those colleges who are going to teach science and mathematics, the so-called STEM subject, including English and other things. So there is going to be I would say, a real gap coming very soon, even for the teachers. So partly some of this teacher vacancy could be because they are not getting enough subject teachers. So I don't want to say, okay, there's so much of vacancy, why it's not being filled up. That's also because of we are not getting enough teachers who are qualified for that particular subject. And related to that point, appoint regular teachers, because I would say salary has improved compared to some years back because of the seventh pay commission, and now eighth pay commission is going to come very soon. Salary has been, I would say, quite decent for the teachers. I'm not saying that is not enough. It can always, better and better. It all depends on how you want to pitch this profession. Teaching is the best profession, okay, make it higher. But when I compare to previous years, definitely it has improved. However, not all the teachers are getting the same salary. If you look at the public education system, there are regular teachers, they get the as per the pay commission. But there are a lot of ad hoc teachers, contract teachers, because of whatever be the reason. Maybe the teacher vacancy they are not able to fill up in time because of somebody has given a case for recruitment procedure, so no appointment happens. So there are a lot of problems the government officials also suffer. So because of this, there is another way out of preparing, contract teachers and ad hoc teachers. In the process, no, they don't get the salary as the regular teachers. So there are now various other action plans, both from a system point of view, and if you look at the micro level, I would say there are very good teachers already there. And I would request all those teachers, if they are able to watch this podcast, don't look left and right. You continue to do the good work. Just because few teachers out there are not doing, don't stop doing good work, because that's how the world will go on. So all the teachers who are good, let us do more of those such teachers in the school, so that they're able to teach better, do well, and I hope the system will generate more and more good and committed and dedicated teachers into the system.
Thank you so much, Anthony. That was very, very insightful. And I really liked, if I have to repeat the keywords that I have just to summarize, is would be like qualitative research, candid conversations, open dialogue, exemption from the burden of non-administrative duties, more data, more monitoring, and the list goes on and on. This has just been amazing, and I feel like you have the especially the idea about research. One question somebody has asked us recently, like why you are doing this podcast? Is this information not available about around teachers training? And I was like, the kind of information we are looking for is not there. It's not on paper. There is no research on it. You have to talk to people who are working in the sector. And the same point, I'm glad you made the same point that you need to do more research with the diet institutions, especially on the issue of improving the quality of teachers training.
And just to add to the point, something came up. There is a good program started by the government of India. It's called Center of Excellence of Diet. It just started, it started kicking in. So it's a very good opportunity. They have, infusing all the diets who are qualified to take up that particular, tag of Center of Excellence. They are giving enough and more money in terms of building the infrastructure and all those things. So along with that, quality also hopefully it will come. The point on monitoring, I'm not talking about monitoring, but whatever the monitoring that is being done, it should be in a supportive supervision point of view rather than monitoring. Because I don't think many of the people who are monitoring are fit to talk to the teachers about teaching, because teachers know how to teach. Of course, I'm assuming all the teachers who know how to teach are in the school. But what do you talk to the teachers who are going to teach? But how do you support the teachers in terms of improving their particular experiences, that classroom teaching learning experiences? What are the things that as an administrator, as an official, I can do? We have to monitor from that point of view rather than just finding out teachers, finding faults. Then the accountability will increase more. Then the ownership will increase more. At this time, as the point earlier I mentioned, everybody is busy completing syllabus, but the students are busy finding out when will they start learning.
Thank you so much, Anthony. And I think you have already given a message to the aspiring teachers that continue to do the good work. Anything else you want to convey to aspiring teachers and those currently working in the field? Because these are all very hard problems to solve.
Yeah, teaching is very, very rewarding job. Not necessarily it is the highest paying job in the country. However, when you meet a student of your, from the past, and you come back and, or rather he or she comes back to you, and the type of reward that you get in terms of satisfaction, no other profession will get it. And understand that teaching is a noble job, and is the most noble job, I would say, because that is a profession that is a foundation for all profession. Without them, no other profession will exist. No other profession will exist. You need teachers for all the other profession, because most of the profession needs school education. There are very few professions, I don't know, they may be created without school education, I don't know, in the process, but school education is must, and without teachers it's impossible to think of. So those who are good in terms of knowledge and skills need to come, and once you come into the system, the aspiring teachers as you call it, need to make sure you give all what you go. Maybe you did not get the aspiring job that you wanted, and so you came for B.Ed. But now that you came into B.Ed stream, make sure you give all what you go, what you can do it, because you are not just doing a job. It is a true nation building job, because you are developing the students who are there in your classroom. And as I used to tell all the teachers, you don't have that 35 students in the class, you have future 35 families in the class. So you are making or destroying families of the future, and it is the teachers who can make or break. There are so many stories which I can relate, where teachers can have transformed the life of a student. In my book you'll also read how my life got transformed because of one teacher in class 9 who came to teach me mathematics. So if he was not there, I will not be sitting with you here. I would have been drop out somewhere and done something else. My trajectory of career would have been completely different. So it is the teachers who can make or break. And I'm sure, Shweta, you will also agree with me. You may like, or you might really appreciate one or two teachers in your school education system. Not all of them. Because it is those two teachers might have been very strict. The teacher whom I'm talking about, Father George Jerimbo, he was very strict. He was not, very supportive in the sense, very lenient, and he was very firm. And all of us appreciate, because he's the one who transformed us. He's the one who has given us how to cope up with whatever the problems that we need to face in life. So it is the teachers who can make or break life. And all the teachers, it is not a small job. It is one of the best job that you can think of. It is not easy. Many people in the country think, oh, teaching, it is a very easy job. Why? Because it's 9 to 5. It is not 9 to 5. There are so many, I think many reels have come now on the teaching thing. There are so much preparation has to be done before getting into it. Just like many of the IT people sit, burn midnight oil. They also prepare the lesson plan, teaching, learning material, etc., for making sure they are ready for the class, because they don't get enough time in the school to prepare that. So teaching is not a difficult, not an easy job. It is a difficult job. And those who want easy life, please don't come to teaching. That is the wrong place. If you come for easy life, I don't know, many other jobs were not teachers. That's the wrong place. I think it's quite a strong message. I don't want to give more strong messages. Shweta.
No. So thank you so much, Anthony, for all your time today. And I can't tell you how exciting and how revitalizing it is to talk to you, and how passionate you are. You know that the lacunas in the system like the back of your hand, and I feel like you should be on some advisory board or something with the government on the education policy with the kind of deep insights. And I was like, yeah, that makes sense. Why are we not doing it? So I wish you all the best, and thank you so much again for all your time.
Thank you very much, Shweta, for inviting me again. It has been a pleasure always to discuss on education, and always pleasure to discuss this with a friend and with whom I worked earlier. So it's always a pleasure.